all right. What is going on? Hope everyone's doing well. Getting set up here. I want to test something. So anybody in the chat, in 1 second here, I want to test whether or not the noise suppression works good or not. Now I had it on at the start. I forgot. I was wondering why the audio sounded weird for the music at the start. It was the noise suppression. But I want to see if we can, if I can run my AC while I'm streaming if the audio doesn't sound too terrible. So give me a sec here. Popping the camera on. Today we're going to be tying some surf candies. I got an order for a dozen bucktail surf candies in a couple different colors for somebody in Rhode Island for some albie fishing. He was saying that he was crushing some albies on them last year. So we're going to be tying those. Got done with some clamming today. Pop the cap off and we'll swap over. All right, what is going on? What is going on? Mic check. All right, let me put the noise suppression on first. Well, first off, hey, Gabe. All right, let's do a test. All right, I'm putting the noise suppression on first without the AC. Let me know how it sounds, all right? All right, here, mic check, and now it's going on. Mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check. It probably shouldn't do anything here. But just let me know if it messes with the audio in any way. I tested it off stream by recording through OBS. I think it should be okay, but mic check, mic check. How does that sound? Put a 1 in chat if that sounds okay. And now I'm going to turn on the AC. And this is noise suppression I'm running. I already have a threshold max, but so let's see, because I'll hear it myself no matter what, because I monitor my audio through my mixer. But this is through OBS. This is a noise suppression. So let me know how this sounds. Let's see if I can run the AC or not. Okay, that's good. It's good to hear. By the way, I hope everybody's doing well and is having a good week. Unfortunately, I didn't get to stream Monday or Tuesday. I had so much stuff going on, but we're going to be tying some surf candies. I got an order for surf candies, so bucktail surf candies and Tutti Frutti and pink over white. He said that the customer said that it did pretty good, so yeah, the AC is going right now. It's going to kick up here in a sec when it really starts running, but I guess we'll see what happens. Let me know if the audio sounds strange at all, like if it's cutting in and out, or sometimes when you run noise suppression, it adds like compression and all this stuff, and it sounds kind of weird. So let me know. But I got the AC on, so cooled this joint down a little bit with the two computers running and the studio lights and the camera and stuff. It gets hot in here real quick. All right. So I got everything we need. I got all the bucktail, the flash, I got the hooks, the eyes, the body braid, the resin's right there. I went ahead and just pulled everything ahead of time so we don't need to worry about it. I'm just picking some tunes for myself. You know what I mean? But what's everybody up to? Any fishing? Any fly tying? Anything interesting? Appreciate everybody tuning in early here. We're going to be streaming for a bit because we got, the goal is we're going to get these done in one stream. Shouldn't be hard to do, but. So this is a commercial sesh. But we are tying surf candies. A good surf candy sesh, so. Some good practice for the fall time. All right. I got size 1 Mustad big game hooks, the old version. Is what I was tying this size for Rhode Island in particular. That's just how they ordered it. So I'm going to get 12 hooks. Counting pro, bro. You should see. I'm counting clams all day. 300 at a time. Put them in the bag. Sometimes I forget halfway through. I'm like, do I have to recount them? AC Fishing just hears laid out on the call table. I have to count 275. Like, yep. 275. I'm like off by 1. That's better to be right than wrong in business. I've been fly tying, but not fly fishing in a few days. Yeah, I haven't fly fishing in a while. I got to get out there and do it. We've been clamming every day, and in my off time, been working on building an entire Warhammer terrain set for me and my buddy. So I'll post it in the Discord. I'm probably gonna airbrush it after the stream when I get done eating. Hey Morano, how you doing? I hope everything's going well. And also, I'll wait till some people pop in here, but I know AR Fly Fisher, Brew, Jin. I sent out flies on the 3rd via envelopes in the mail. Just put it in my mailbox. So I don't know, with the 4th of July and whatnot, right around then, like, did mail not ship for a bit? I don't know. So it's let me know when hopefully everybody gets it, but I'm pretty sure I just need one stamp, if I'm not wrong, like I did it last time, but it should be getting there soon. If not, like any day now, so just let me know when you get them. I got to go to the post office though and ship last month's, and I got to ship particularly a somebody in Canada from the stream. So international, unfortunately, I can't just throw it in the mailbox. Let me go ahead and tie this here. We don't need no bobbin threaders around here. But how you doing, Morano? I saw you've been doing some fly tying, it looks like, right? How's your summertime fishing season been? So what we're going to do first is take all 12 bodies and wrap body braid on them. And then we're going to tie the bucktail on there, the flash, glue the eyes on with super glue, and then we'll do 2 coats of resin on each one with thick and thick or thick and thin, vice versa, something like that. So let me zoom in a little bit here because we're going to be focusing on smaller stuff. So I thought this like blue graffiti shirt wouldn't take focus the whole time, but I guess I was wrong. It's too visually appealing for the camera. We just gotta get it once and it should be good. Come on. Hello? Did it go to manual mode or something? What happened? Oh, it did go to manual mode. All right. Uh, Hold on. I'm gonna fix that real quick. Give me 1 second. What the hell happened? I don't know how that happens sometimes, but yeah, continuous autofocus. What's going on here? There we go. Must be like a quick way of doing it that I don't understand how, that I do it sometimes by like just hitting something on the back when I'm moving it. It happens all the time. That's got to be what it is. Summer has mostly been terrible. Some light fishing with some friends home for summer. Weather's been all over the place. Yeah, the weather's been all over the place here too. Like hot, cold, or not cold, but hot and then muggy and then rainy and thunderstorms, and there's like a storm coming on the East Coast here. Sold my condo, so now I have more peace of mind and money to invest in the house, so everything's good. Oh, good. I'm glad, Morano. Glad to hear that. Well, that's a big thing. That's a big one. Congrats on that. Let's get some body braid on here. Go ahead and keep on body wrapping. Yeah, I think it was Monday we went out clamming. Oh my God, it was so brutal out. It was so hot. It was crazy. The UV index was so bad. I put on so much sunblock and I still was like getting destroyed. I used this like crazy organic sunblock that my mom had from like the 90s called like Badger or something. It's like an organic sunblock. Beeswax, cocoa butter, this, that. The stuff is so thick, it's crazy. Like you have to wash it off or like wipe it off with a rag and then wash it. It's so it's so thick. But yo, I'll get cancer out there if I don't use sunblock like crazy because the UV is so wild when you're out on the water every day working. And just the middle of the bay, you know, just the sun's hitting you from the top, from the bottom. Next step, we're bringing a cooler. It's getting hot enough. We got to start bringing a little cooler. I'll be able to allow myself more fishing gear and longer trips, licenses for rivers and such. Yeah, very nice. That's awesome, Ron. I'm glad to hear it. All right. Hey, Doc. What's going on? How you doing, man? Awesome fish. Another nice bass. Hell yeah. What was that fish caught on? Was it caught on lures or bait or something, or was it on a fly? That was a nice fish. Was it on that rig you explained, I think, that one day that I've already forgot? We're going to try and speed through a lot of this stuff because this is just menial prep for the fly, if you will. Dude, I got a horseshoe crab. A dead horseshoe crab shell. You can't really see it. It's just a tiny little prick. But I'm telling you, the spines are so long on it. It hurts so bad because it just, I'm pretty sure it goes down and like hits a tendon or something, you know? It's so sharp. It's so unbelievably sharp, those horseshoe crabs. I tried taking one out the other day, a live one, and I had it, and it gets wedged in the clam rake, the big clam rake that we use. And the weight of it, it's heavy. They're heavy, right? The weight of it landed, and the spike went right into my finger, and I felt it like almost hit the bone. It was so freaking jarring. It was crazy. So dare not try and we just try and shake the crap out of the clam rake, and then you can kind of pull their tail back a little bit so they fall out. But it's so annoying. You get one horseshoe crab while you're bull raking, and you can dump all the clams out because they get kind of wedged, and then it kicks up, and all the clams fall out. So like I always imagine that it's like a war. They're like waging war on us. It's like an orchestrated effort. Oh, I just gotta check something real quick. Uno momento. I'm just double checking. We got Tutti Frutti, Chartreuse over pink, and then we got pink over white. Okay. Very cool. Yeah, I think they call them European sea bass or something if I'm not wrong. The they're very similar to the Australian salmon is what they call them. It's like a it's like a non-striped saltwater bass species, but it almost looks like it's a mix between like a wrasse or something. There's like I don't know. They're definitely different, but over here in the U.S., I've heard them called as like European sea bass or something in saltwater fishing books. Because there's people that have been referenced in striper books as innovative saltwater fly tyers from like Ireland. I think there was a gentleman who was using real eel skin and like tying flies with real eel skin is one example. I think it's in Lou Tabery's book. I should look up the guy's name. You should check it out, Doc. I think he was using them over there for those bass. Somehow like dried eel skin or something. Like leather. He was oh I don't know why I'm cutting bucktail. We still have more body braid. He was using that. I'll try and find a look. I'll take a look and I'll post it in the Discord. You should check that out, Doc. That's pretty cool. I mean that was something you should I mean it's probably almost better for straight bass. I don't know how you go about doing it, but It's pretty cool. Maybe you should look into it. Maybe you should fish eel flies over there. What is the northeast spiller? Ends at northeast? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like, what? Northeast spiller? Did I spill something on the keyboard and it just typed spiller at the end? Yeah, northeast referring to here, the northeast of the United States, like New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Delaware. I guess it's kind of on the edge. And then like Maine, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Vermont, all that. Considered like northeast. As well as, you know, probably Pennsylvania and stuff, but I'm not just gonna name every state in the northeast, but you got the idea. It's pretty close probably. So, how's the mic so far? Right now, the AC's on. Can you hear the AC in the background? Does the audio sound weird right now because it's doing noise suppression? How does it sound? Mic check, mic check. Now we got some more folks in here. How does it sound? I'm running some noise suppression built in by OBS because I couldn't do it. I had to start running the AC. It was so hot. You couldn't hear anything? Okay, cool. Thank you, thank you. Because sometimes noise suppression can do a mix of things and it can really start just destroying the audio quality. Not that my audio quality is crazy, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm running some good stuff, but not like sequential level, you know what I mean? The master of audio. We'll get these bodies tied up real quick. So we're doing pink over white and chartreuse over pink. So apparently the chartreuse over pink, the tutti fruity color, which is a classic old school color, kind of like it's like almost like a candy color, right? What do you call it? It's I just picture like lime and strawberries or something, you know what I mean? Lemonade or something. Um that was the fly that this person requested, and then they asked for another color, and I said either pink and white, which is my go-to color for albies in the fall, or tan over white, which is like the preferred, like most people order tan over white or buy tan over white, because it's kind of like a little bit more of a realistic color. But I love the pink over white, so you went with 6 pink over white and 6 chartreuse over pink bucktail versions. So that's what we're going to be tying. And personally, I like the bucktail versions when I'm striper fishing. Like if I'm going on the North Shore and there's just giant blitzes of striped bass, a lot of times I'll like using the bucktail surf candies. I don't know why. They just have a little bit more something to them, you know? It's that natural material with the translucency. Even though synthetic material like Supreme Fiber, yeah. Not Super Hair is or is it Supreme Hair? It's Supreme Hair, not Supreme Fiber. My bad. It is Supreme Hair. That's pretty translucent, but the bucktail itself, I think, is just there's something you can't beat bucktail in a lot of reasons. A lot of times, the albies I don't think are as particular. I just like fishing the bucktail surf candies because I like the old Popovic's book with all the bucktail versions that he was trying out. Because nowadays, most people think of surf candies as the synthetic version, because that's like the most commonly tied version. But personally, the bucktail versions are my favorite. They remind me of like 90s surf candies. Late 80s, 90s Popovic surf candies in his book, where he was trying all sorts of stuff out. Because it was much easier to get bucktail than it was to get synthetic fiber in small towns, tackle shops, and stuff like that. You could, right? But bucktail was almost always easier to find because bucktail, you know, people were tying jigs, stuff like that. Synthetics weren't as popular or weren't as widespread. and as easily available as they are now. I'm not even that old, and I'm already sounding like an old man. Back in my day, you couldn't even find synthetics. I've been working on my old man voice too. Usually I do a crazy old man because Coot Jenkins, my crazy old prospector that gets sucked through time and space and dimensions, jumps through portals, and now he's in a D&D campaign. But I've been doing a lot of old man voice recently in the D&D world. You had him on a Megabass Spindleworm. I think we talked about the, yeah. I was chatting to my mate and the lure was close. I was about to lift it out of the water. I thought it got hooked on the rocks or weeds, but it started to move. I was like, what the F is that? And I can fish this spot at high water as there's a cliff surface behind me constantly getting hung up on the rocks. Ah. Gotcha. So it was like up in this little shoal up in the rocks at high tide where the fish come in and they probably look for crabs and worms and stuff like that at the high tide that pushes them out of these crevices and stuff. Very cool. That's awesome. Tying some stuff for spin fishing for my buddy. Oh, nice. What are you tying? Teasers and stuff? Like some bucktail teasers? Very cool. Yeah, I used to tie a bunch of teasers for all my spin fishing friends. Back in the day. Keep getting this body braid going. We're almost done with the body braid. Almost done, almost done. This is always like the most boring part to me. Especially when you gotta do 50 or 100 of them. And I'm just sitting there spinning body braid. This is when I'm like watching a Warhammer game or like a podcast or something. Or like a movie. This is when I'm doing the body braid stuff. I would like to at least get one coat of resin on them. On all of them. Get the, or, you know, pretty much get it done. Because I might need to do one little gap. Sometimes I like letting them cool down for a bit. You know what I mean? But usually just 5 minutes or something does it. Doesn't really take long. I had an issue for a while, especially with Loon resin, which was one of the main reasons I switched to Solarez. Because bad batch of Loon resin or something, all the surf candies turned yellow. And we also found out it had something to do with, but I mean, I wasn't doing anything different. I wasn't sitting there with the light for like 45 seconds on each one without turning it. I was doing the same thing I always do. All the surf candies turned yellow. All the white bellies turned super yellow. It was one of my first orders for saltwaterflies.com. I had to redo the entire order. I was like, let me redo all of this, Chris. I'm so sorry. And he was super understandable about it, but so we switched to Solarez or Solarez, and I've never had that issue before with them. So, or never had that issue again. I even wrote a letter to Loon, never heard back. Like an email. I was like, all right, well, I will say they redeemed themselves. I had one of the Loon. I do use the Loon rechargeable Mega Light or whatever. Mega UV light. Works good, but I've already had one go bad. I did email them again. They redeemed themselves. They sent me like 30 something bucks or something. So I paid them like $5 and got another one because it was more money now or something. So really they got more money out of me, but at least they redeemed themselves a little bit. Yeah. I should have had the fly rod in my hand. Yeah, need to get one on the fly that big. I promised myself no more lure fishing, only on the fly now. I'll suffer getting hung up on the rocks. Hey, Doc. That's the way to do it, man. I could have caught 30, 40, 50 pounders this year with AC fishing. You just snag a bunker, put it on a circle hook, and you just hang on. It was like in 30 seconds, 30 pounder, 40 pounder, boom, boom, boom. But I sat there with the fly rod the whole time. I didn't catch a damn thing. Eventually I will, though. I'll get that 40, 50 pounder on the bunker school on a giant 14-inch beast fly or Sadati slammer, you know? We were pretty close. We had one like 30-pound fish that was harassing a snagged bunker or something. So I had Aiden like reel it in. I threw the fly right in front of it, but I mean they're smart fish, man. You really got to find the right one. I think probably the way you do catch them is just like randomly casting on the beach at night and you just hook one of those cows in June or something, like you're doing. They're so smart. It's crazy. When there's like a million pounds of bunker there, they're looking at your fly like, nah, I'm good. And in the water, man, that's a dotty slammer. I was fishing that big one with the fake tail we did. I immediately cut the tail off because it wasn't working right. But me and Aiden were looking at it. It was in the school of bunker. They weren't even moving. They were following it. It looked so good. It looked just like a bunker. But I mean, who knows? There's so many different things involved. A snagged or a hooked bunker will act differently and will be panicking the whole time, putting out vibrations and stuff. And those big striped bass just sit under the school, swim through the school, looking for wounded ones and stuff. So even with a fly trying to replicate that, it's tough because these fish are putting out vibrations. And the big striped bass, I mean all striped bass, a lot of predatory fish have lateral lines, so they're picking up that vibration. So hard to imitate, you know what I mean? Even like a rattle or something, I don't, you know. Because when they get to that size, they're smart. I'm guaranteeing you those fish have been hooked multiple times by now. Been lucky enough to survive. They didn't get killed for TikTok or Instagram photos by now. You know what I mean? They're pretty smart. People are like, man, look at this fish. Come on, Johnny, let's get photos. All right, let's check it back. It just like hits like a wet rug. It just floats away. All right, good release. Luckily, we haven't seen any dead bass in a while, but it was like a month ago. You just see a big old striper just floating in the bay dead. Probably because bad catch and release practices, you know? Because people don't know how to handle fish that big. They always just kill them. You know what I mean? When you fight a fish that big, you can't be pulling them out of the water. You gotta, like, you know, you don't have to always revive them, but at least give them a second. And not, like, manhandle them, take a bunch of photos, hold them by their gills. You know what I mean? They don't know how to handle big fish, so. Like, don't even take them out of the water. You know you can't keep them. Just pop the hook off. You want a photo, lean over the boat, pop a quick photo. But we constantly see it. People are, like, hauling these fish out of the water. Big, big fish. And, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not good to lift a fish like that by its mouth. That's for sure. But what are you gonna do? Unfortunately, catch and release mortality rate's pretty bad, so just in general. Like I said, there needs to be like some sort of program, incentive, or something to go take a safe marine fisheries course or just catch and release course in general. Like, you take that, guess what? You're good to go with a saltwater license in New York State for 5 years. Because the saltwater fishing license doesn't cost anything. It's purely just so they have statistics and data when it comes to who's fishing, how many people are fishing, vice versa, what they need to do for regulations. They should like be like, listen, you sit down for like 3-4 hours at the DEC play or wherever, you can take this class, learn about catch and release, like a hunter safety course, but it's not like, you know, it's like free. Like, you don't have to sign up for the registry for 3 years now, or 5 years. You probably gotta do 5 years. People are like, 3 years? Psh. You want me to drive to Kings Park for that? Most people don't even have to. Most people are like, why do I need to sign up for a free license? But you get the idea. They gotta do something, man. It's crazy. Yeah, yeah. I'm at the point where we don't even take photos. We don't take them out of the water. We just drag them onto the grass or something. Or if we have to, we'll put them on the boat. I put them on the gunnel, right? like immediately, boom. Like let's say, God forbid, you got them like deep hooked fish or something. You get the pliers, and then you get them in the water, right? Because that way you don't need to like really lift them. You can kind of slide them and guide them up on the gunnels. Because our gun, most of the gunnels we have aren't super high when we're out there in the ocean or something. And then you could flip them back in and hold them by the lip and just kind of run the boat and gear, just like, and just get a little water through the gills, and then they're good to go. That's why we might start using more circle hooks. I'm digging circle hooks for bluefish. I should just probably get some more circle hooks and just tie some striper flies on them. I mean, most of the time, right, it's not an issue. You hook a lot of striped bass right in the corner of the lip, right? But there's the odd occasion when you do deep hook a fish, and it's the worst thing in the world. That's why I always debarb everything. Yeah. We used to take photos and stuff, and now, if one of my friends wants to, I'll be like, yep, sure, I'll do it. But if I'm gonna take the photo for you, let's keep the fish in the water. Yep, get it ready. And they'll ask, oh, you want a photo with that fish, like a giant bluefish? I'm like, nah, I'm good. Don't even worry about it. It's all good. If we really want, take a photo while the fish is in the water. You know what I mean? I hate killing fish that I don't want to kill. It's like one of my least favorite things. Like if I'm going to eat that fish, that's one thing, right? But if not, they stay in the water and go back as quick as possible. It's the number one rule I have on my boat, brother. Unfortunately, not everyone believes that way, but that's all right. What are you going to do? Let's do the pink over whites first. God, I almost did chartreuse over white. I'm getting distracted by... I'm getting enraged by poachers. And improper catch and release handling. So I am tapering the bucktail here, getting it to the right length. The pink I'm going to have be just a tad longer than the white. Should probably just try and use a little less thread on the next one. We're going to be totally fine, but something to be mindful of with the mono. You want enough thread to secure it, right? But you don't want too much to where you get this kind of bulge at the front, and it's hard to get a nice even epoxy head on there. Yeah, I've been fishing a while. I gotta go fishing. We got all these crab flies. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go fishing with some crab flies. Probably over by a flat or an estuary somewhere I can wade. I gotta steal AC Fishing's boat one of these days when he's not clamming. Just be like, hey, what's up? I'm just driving out, going fishing. I gotta fix my boat. I'm just saving. Paid almost all the bills for the month. Bada bing, bada boom. All the rest of the money is going straight and staying in the bank. Got to get the truck on the road, clean up the trailer. That shouldn't be a big project, actually. I thought it was going to be worse. I was like, man, do I got to get a whole new trailer? But I think it's just all the U-bolts and then all the, not the drivetrain, but the like essentially, I guess it kind of, you could call it the drivetrain, but the wheel bearings, the, what do you call it? Which come with the hubs, the lug nuts, the, what do you call it? God, I'm starting to forget a lot of car stuff. The, what do you call it? The lug studs or whatever. And, probably like new fenders. My fenders rusted out, but luckily I think all the axles, most of the trailer's like flush. It's good to go. I got to get a new, what do you call it? Trailer jack. I'm going to switch from the folding one to like a heavy commercial fishing one. Those are the ones that I like. I hate the folding one because mine's like stuck now. They get stuck and they're just junk. They're not like very heavy duty. It always felt like a little shady because it's like a wheeled thing. I'm like, is this even big enough for my boat? So it's just one that you have a big pin that goes through these, what do you call it? These two aluminum squares that or tubing that one sits in the other one, and you just essentially jack it up, and then you put the pin on there, or you put the pin, jack it, and then you pop it off the trailer, and it's way sturdier as opposed to the folding ones. So, getting rid of that. Probably get rid of the chain that's my boat winch uses, my electric winch, and I'm just going to, what do you call it, put on some rope. You essentially just, not rope, but essentially like a thick, heavy cable tie strap. You can get it and you can wrap that up there. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's like a Kevlar. I broke that chain, or not the chain, the metal wire for my electric winch so many times because it was just old. Looked perfectly fine, but it was like internally rusted and stuff. It would like snap at the ramp. Luckily, every time I got it was always when I tightened it, because I'm always a little scared, right? It's almost why I like a hand winch. I might just go with a hand winch again, because the what do you call it? The electric ones are kind of a pain. The hand one, I mean, I was the sort of person that always like over tightened stuff, because I was always like, is this tight enough? As a mechanic, so sometimes I'm like hitting it. I'm like, is this? I'm like, it would just snap. There's give in the cable tie thing, it stretches and stuff. So that's why you got safety chains, though. Thank God. I think it was once I had to like jerry rig it where the safety chain wasn't on or something. We had to like back it in. I had to take tie down straps or whatever and like just tie the boat to the trailer. Like, God damn it. Like 10 o'clock at night, you can't see anything. We've been fishing for sharks for like 10 hours. God. Yeah, I'm not dealing with that anymore. Yep, just saving money. It's going to be a little bit, but the boat's clean. I cleaned it up. It's looking beautiful right now. It gave me some motivation, you know what I mean? Like, let me go out there, let me clean this damn thing. A little bit of bleach. And concentrated deck cleaner, marine boat deck cleaner. Man, I got that thing with just a basic like dollar store sponge. I got that thing looking beautiful. I might do it one more time. Like probably before I use it or something, Really get it looking sparkling. So nice having like a nice clean white deck on your on the boat, especially when it's really hot out, because the white doesn't get really hot. That's the whole reason we have the white fiberglass. The aluminum boats, anything with black or any like dark red and stuff like that, dude, it gets so hot out on the ocean when you're sitting under the sun all day. Even the white fiberglass gets really hot too, but it's a lot better with that gel coating. It's a lot better. Section AK, thank you for the follow a little while ago. Appreciate that. Sorry I missed that. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, can you tell I'm excited to get my boat on the water again? Can you tell I'm excited to spend a bunch of money and be broke again? And have more things break? Woohoo! God, I love boats. Now we're gonna go do when I do have it fixed, I'm gonna go do a little scratch raking here and there just for fun and make a little extra money, and then we'll be streaming fishing. So hopefully between the clamming and that, make a little bit of money just to pay for the gas on it at least. Yeah. Who knows? We'll see what's going on too. At some point I might use it more regularly for something, but we'll see what the future holds. Other than that, it's just gonna be fishing. I just want to go fishing with it. So we're gonna tie 6 pink ones. Let's see if I can get enough pink bucktail here in one bunch. Get all the little ones out of there. It's not a lot, just a couple, but get those out of there because it's going to make it really tough trying to glue these up. Yeah, it would be nice to be able to go out and like just if I'm not clamming with AC fishing that day or something, just go do a little scratch rigging or go fishing or something. It's gonna be so nice to just take that thing out in the ocean and just run it at full throttle. Like hitting jumps. Hang on. Good old times. We'll be back out there. Trying to do it this year. That's the idea, at least. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. It's slow at the moment, so, but I'm getting there. Slow but steady wins the race. Probably start with the truck. Put our eyes on here. I was also considering using bunks. But I think the rollers, I kind of like rollers. Part of me wants to use bunks, but you almost at times need to like back the boat up, have somebody like lurch the truck back while you're in reverse because it'll get stuck on bunks. Definitely, I like pulling onto bunks. Bunks are wooden boards with carpeting on it, as opposed to rollers that your boat rolls on and then rolls off. You know, those adjustable, or they essentially adjust because they're on arms, the rollers for a trailer. So bunks are essentially just wooden boards with carpet that it just sits at like a V, and it sits really well. It's almost like a, most of the time, I mean, you can do it solo, but I definitely like rollers for, both of them have their like pros and cons if you're solo, but because rollers can definitely be a pain in the butt when you're launching a boat and pulling a boat solo, like trying to get that thing lined up. I've also never had guide-ons on my trailer, so I'm 100% putting guide-ons. That makes a huge difference. Trying to get the boat straight on when it's blowing 30 miles an hour from your from like the starboard side, like a crosswind, trying to pull on the trailer. Just blowing the boat. You have to come at like an angle and then kick it back. You're like completely sideways, almost coming at the trailer, and then you turn at the last second. It's fun doing that 30 times at the boat ramp. That's why I picked the crappy boat ramps that aren't maintained well because nobody goes there. Because it would take me like 15 times to get my boat on the trailer when it was like 50-mile-per-hour wind. Doing it solo, like, I think I get it. I have to pull the boat out. It's like completely crooked on the rollers. Like, what? How was I that off? The other nice thing about bunks, you can hook up the winch, get it semi-tight. You can look and see the boat is off the bunks while it's like in the water. You're like, you're off. You can, what I used to do is just turn the wheel all the way to the side and kick it in gear. And it's like, and it just pushes the whole boat and sits perfectly on the bunks. That's kind of like a two-man operation again, you know? If I was going out every day and I had somebody go with me, I would run bunks. It's way more convenient. You can like literally just kick it like back it up a little bit, readjust it instead of have to launch with the what do you call it, with the rollers and completely do it over again a lot of times. I mean, you don't always have to, but anyways, that's enough boat trailer talk with Li Flies Mike. I'll get back to that later. tell you what, though. One last little boat trailer talk. Used to. At the boat ramp, man. Whew. Damn, I look good backing that trailer up. There's some dude pulls up with like his watercraft or something. He's going tubing. He uses a boat like once a year. And I'm like, one hand, one shot, perfectly backing up the trailer. He pulls in, hook it up, just pull off. See ya. They're there for like 30 minutes. I used to be like that. Now I'm much better. Jet ski trailers though, good luck. One of the funniest things you'll ever see is somebody trying to back up a single jet ski trailer because they weigh nothing and they just jackknife. So they're just constantly jackknifing on people. You can't even turn the wheel. You can't even look at it. So I like when we see people like that, we just go and we just pick up the trailer and just keep adjusting it. Like, yep, all right, stop. And we just pick it up and move it. Like, we're not sitting here for 30 minutes watching you do this over and over again. We got to go. I want to go get lunch. Hey, Daniel Roberts, how you doing? Let's see some blue water bulkheads. Blue water bulkheads. Right now we're working on a order of surf candies for somebody up in Rhode Island. We got 12 surf candies. But I'll put that on the list. Let me write that down. Now, when you say blue water, I'm assuming you're talking about a giant bulkhead. Big old hook. Write that down for the requests. Blue water bulkhead. Maybe we'll tackle that on Friday. We'll see. It might be a fun one. Yeah, we tied some bulkheads not long ago. They actually went out to some of the giveaways here on Twitch, so a couple people got some bulk. We did mini ones, so this is the opposite. I like it. Blue water bulkheads. Apparently, tuna fishing's been off the charts right now, by the way. All right. We're going to get some, or at least it's been pretty good for some people. We're going to get some pink. Man, there's like a fresh Turkish doner kebab, a gyro too, and pita sitting there. Got there right as the stream started. I was like, I'm just going to have to wait. I can't, I started, I got to start now. I'm going to destroy that thing when I get done with the stream. I'm so hungry. I did have a nice, I made like a little wrap with a pita, though, with some hummus. It was nice. I can't talk about food too much too early in the stream. Too early for that. I might have time to take a couple quick bites though on the on one of our breaks. Tempting, very tempting. God, what is going on here? We got to retie this. This was a I love mono thread. Sometimes I don't love mono thread. Hey, Chef Krypton, how you doing? Let's just redo that. I love my 210 denier flat wax nylon. It's like my favorite thread in the world. I like how I say my. It's really Mike Ross's titanium white. It's just such a good thread, though. This pink bucktail is just rebelling against me right now. And I don't like it. Luckily, we're using some big old eyes, so we don't have to be picture perfect at the head there. Yeah, one the other day was banning. Oh yeah, we got this one place right on right near Saltwater. At this busy area, this other town. It's so good. It's legit. Meanwhile, the local Greek place, they should be ashamed. I've had so much good Greek food over the years. This is like, I won't even order anything, any Greek stuff. The falafels are terrible. The gyro's just like trash. It's like all beef. It's not even lamb, pretty much. It's like 80% beef. So I get like a hamburger, but I was like, I just wanted to be there. Like, you should be ashamed of yourselves. This is so. Uh, you can barely call it Greek food. There's like no flavor to it. But the local Turkish place next town over, psh, it's good stuff. There is some really nice Greek places around, but get some spanakopita. Striper fishing was good. Everybody's been doing good in the oceans. It's been like a beach and ocean thing, but I think there's some fish in the bay now. It seems like a lot of the bunker have moved off shore somewhere, have gone north or something. There's not as many bunker out in the ocean past week or two, but it was just like a crazy, millions of pounds of bunker in the ocean, 30, 40 pounders under every school. It was just wild. I wasn't getting a lot of that, pretty much any of that action with the fly rod, but I haven't caught a fish on the, or a striped bass, I should say, on the fly rod since May, but caught some bluefish and other stuff, but I need to get out and do some fishing. We've been clamming every day, commercial clamming, so. But we're trying to find time to stream a couple times every week, do some fly tying. Last year I was full-time commercial clamming and fishing, so I had no time at all, so. It's good to be able to, like, go clamming in the morning, get that done, and come back and do some streaming. Still, I end up missing a couple days here and there because there's always stuff going on. But yellowfin are going nuts in the Hudson. Got a big eye the other day, lost a couple yellows. Yeah, my buddy that I work with, he just went out yesterday, did an overnighter. I don't know if they went to the Cambria or they went out to the canyon or what, but big eyes up to 100 pounds, 100 to 120 pound yellowfins, stuff like that. Bunch of small yellowfins. Seen there was a serious worm hatch recently. Yeah, I saw there was a crazy worm hatch somebody had recently. I forgot who it was, some guide or somebody. I forgot who said it. Yeah, I haven't seen anything like that around here, but I mean, I didn't really go looking in some of the usual places, but I haven't seen anything. Usually you'll see some activity, but I guess where I've been clamming and everything too, there's not really prime cinderworm spot, but all right, we gotta speed it up. Maybe I might not get all these done in this stream because I'm just having fun enjoying chatting with you folks. I look down, 3 are done. Like, oh god, we're gonna try. I just know that gyro's in the back of my mind, just talking to me, like whispering, like eat me. I could hear it. It's whispering. I'm surprised I don't smell it. I had to shove a bunch of towels under my doors so I wouldn't catch it. Do that like Homer Simpson, or I think it was Homer Simpson, where he like smells something, he's like floating, flying around. You're doing some fluke fly fishing later today. Very nice. The cool thing about that is you might get striped bass or bluefish. You know what I mean? Sea robins, whatever. Like, if you're fishing for fluke, you're almost fishing for striped bass and bluefish at the same time, so you'd be surprised, obviously. But if there could be fluke, good chance there could be bass. Hey, Ross, how's it going? Dude, I want to try and pronounce your last name so bad, but I'm gonna screw it up. Macor Quodale? Oh, dude, I gotta learn that last name. That is a sick last name. Should I get a fly tie kit? What sort of fly tying are you doing? Are we talking about freshwater or saltwater? If you're doing saltwater, and it also depends, like, have you ever tried it before or done it at all? Because, like, for a fly tying kit, I don't know what they go for nowadays for, like, a cheap fly tying kit. Because I don't even know if there's, like, back in the day, they wouldn't have, like, good ones, right? You would just get, like, one from Cabela's or Bass Pro or some other places where it's, like, a little box. It's got, a tiny vise that clamps to your table. It's got scissors, a bobbin, and everything. And that's what I got back in the day. Those are not bad. In fact, some people continue using like those really cheap $20, $30 vices probably to this day, like a lot of old timers and stuff. Um, I remember they had like 30, 40, $50 fly tying kits. Freshwater in Scotland. Oh, okay, very cool. So the other option is like you could try and find a cheaper quality fly tying kit where it's got everything, right? And they probably have stuff like that over there in Scotland or Ireland where Doc is. I don't know what the cost again is. The other option is looking for a higher quality vise and spending like maybe let's say like $100, maybe I don't know in pounds what would that be, or like 80 pounds or something like that. But something like that for like a borderline, like okay, you're good with this vise probably for the next 10, 15 years. Even if you want to upgrade, it's still good to go, right? And then like a bobbin and some scissors and stuff isn't really going to cost you too much. Maybe 150, dollars. So it'd be like maybe you could probably like 120, 130 euros. I want to say you could probably get yourself like a better quality vise and then just a bobbin and scissors. But if you don't know if you want to invest all the money into it, you could go with whatever's the cheapest kit that you can possible, like a vineyard kit or something with a cheap vise for 100 euros, like Doc's talking about. He's over in Ireland, so he knows. And then you can always upgrade, because it's not going to be the sort of stuff where you're like, man, this is the greatest vise ever made, and I'm going to use this for the rest of my life. You probably want to upgrade in the future, but you don't know if you like fly tying to that level. So I always try to tell people, go with like something cheap at first, unless you can find a good deal on like a higher quality, either US or European made vise. But you don't always want to spend $300 when you get into it and you don't know if you like it. So, but if you fly fish and you're like, I'm going to fly fish for the next 34 years, you should learn how to fly tie. Because unless you absolutely hate fly tying, even if they don't look good, you can go out and catch fish on your flies. So I think you should definitely get a fly tying vise. But whether or not you want to get a kit or you just want to get like a higher quality vise and then a nice bobbin from like Right Bobbin or something. Yeah, Stenofo, that's an Italian made, right? I had a Stenofo bobbin. They make a Traveler for like 100 euros or something, and that you'll probably be good with that. Or like, let's say a Regal vise for like 200 US, or like a these are our options, US wise, or the, God help me out, chat, what's the name of that Traveler vise? I forgot the name of the company because I only use Regals. Their Saltwater Traveler, Renzetti. The Renzetti Saltwater Traveler is what I used before that for most of my like childhood through young adult life. But Griffith, yeah, Peak Vice. These are U.S. companies you could buy a Vice for probably like $120 US or something. So hopefully that helps. We also got exclamation mark, or not exclamation mark, because I don't have Nightbot set up on YouTube. I need to figure that out. I need to enable the permissions. In the description, because you're on YouTube, you can look in there. There should be a link in the description to our Discord. And we have a fly fishing Discord. So if you have any like in-depth questions, or you're like looking, you're like, is this one good or is this one good? And you're linking them or sending us pics or whatever it may be, right? We can give you some more info. So we got a lot of helpful folks in there when it comes to helping people get into fly fishing or fly tying. So should be in the description below, so you can feel free if you got Discord, hop in there. If not, well, good. But if you have any further questions, because I'm not always live, then we'd love to see some photos of some salmon from Scotland. The next Paul Yun, Fishing with Paul Yun, right here in the chat. God, what a fantastic show. I gotta I think we found it too, but like one day when I'm strapped with cash and I'm good to go, I need to buy the entire like VHS or DVD collection of Fishing Scotland with Paul Yun, or whatever then his second show was. I need those. I like need that. And I just want to be able to watch them whenever I want. Because they used to be on YouTube and then they took them down, man. They had like every single episode, bar one. Like one or two weren't on there. It was so good. I should have recorded them or something. I never thought. It's my favorite fishing TV show ever made. So good. Just a Scottish dude traveling to Ireland, Britain, Scotland. He's like, oh, let's go to America. Let's go fishing here. Let's go fishing there. Let's go to Tierra del Fuego, catch some giant sea trout. Just swinging spay rods and shit. So good. It's my favorite. Now, if you tell me, Ross, that you don't know Paul Young, Fish in Scotland with Paul Young, I think his name's Paul Young, right, Doc? I think it is. Please tell me you know what that is if you're from Scotland and you fly fish. If not, you need to do your homework. All right? Don't go buy a fly time vise. Go find, this is probably in your local, like, you don't have Salvation Armies. Yeah, Paul Young. It's probably at your local thrift shop in Scotland. You know what I mean? Man, Paul Young. Ah, so good. It's my favorite. Absolute favorite. So good. So anyone here in chat that doesn't, you should look that up. You should look up Fishing Scotland or Fishing with Paul Young. Scottish TV show. Mostly fly fishing, but some regular fishing. But I mean, he made it so enjoyable, it doesn't matter, you know? Like, I'm not going to watch a TV show where people are throwing spinning rods for striped bass or something. Like, I can literally go down to the bridge and watch people do that. But, all the interesting, like, pinreel style freshwater and cool stuff, but just mostly fly fishing. Salmon, sea trout, pike, trout. Really cool stuff. So if you haven't, I highly recommend checking out Paul Young, Fishing with Paul Young. Because there might be some folks here that don't know about that. So good. And I mean, there's some great shows, right? Flip Pallet Show was definitely up there, if not one of my favorite. And then Spanish Fly with Jose. God, what was his last name? Unfortunately, he passed away. He was actually a pretty good friend of one of my old landlords who was a fly fishing captain out here. Jose Wehebe. How could I forget Jose Wehebe's name? Such a cool name. Spanish Fly is such a good show, too. But Fishing with Paul Young, better. Best show out there. They got to bring it back. Send him fishing everywhere. Last I heard, I think he's still alive and he's still kicking it. Probably going to some fishing shows or something. I think we looked it up like a year or two ago. Hopefully he's still doing good. Absolute legend. Damn, Cal Scrubby's new song. Rob the bank. Spitting facts. He's just talking about the IRS. Like taking all your money. It's a good song. Alright, we got a couple more pink and white ones here to tie. I want to tie these last two pink and white ones. Then we'll take a quick break. I'm going to run downstairs and like a wild animal, take a couple bites out of my gyro. My doner kebab. And then, what do you call it? Use the restroom or whatever and come back, so. Gesundheit. Oh, excuse me. I just had a violent like fit of sneezing. Woo! That's why we got mute buttons on the mixer, or why we got faders. Classic shows that are in the archives now. Wish they still showed them. Yeah. I mean, even today, I think it's just such a good show. Like, I watched an episode not long ago. It's so well made. Like, whoever made that show, I don't know, was it part of the BBC or something or what? But, or part of some Scottish TV company or I don't know what. But whoever was making that show, they really good producers and directors and stuff. It was just so well made. And to make a fishing show is not very easy. You know what I mean? There's probably so many takes and stuff like that when you do a fishing show. Because you're like, they're trying to get shots where like fish are eating the fly or whatever, or this rising fish. Or like half the day they're just sitting there trying to get a trout to rise or something. It's probably not easy. Go with a little bit more white on the belly, just a teeny bit. Kind of get on this side a little bit. Yeah, I got all this. I made one U-shaped piece of terrain that's 12 by 9, or let's see, 9 foot high, 12 foot long, 4 inches deep, U-shaped. And then I did four at like whatever, I don't know, a bunch of different sizes. There's like literally, I think it's 10 or 12 pieces of terrain that I made for my buddy's house because that's where we play Warhammer with some different people. So I'm like making the proper size terrain and going in. I framed it out like a carpenter with balsa wood on the foam, hot glued all that, put in window frames, put in pieces of wood to bar the windows. Did all that, covered it in Mod Podge with paint, which is a glue, which allows me to then spray paint it so it doesn't melt the craft foam, right? Oh, I got to burp real quick. I'm going to mute it. And then I spray paint it black and then hit it with white, which is called Zenithal Highlight. So I just got done doing that. So later, I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to airbrush it. Because I was like, I have a freaking airbrush. What am I doing? I was thinking about painting it with a brush. And I'm like, no, no, no. So I was trying to figure out. He's got like, it's like grassland, classic, almost like medieval battlefield sort of terrain, but like a wooded terrain. So we're gonna put the ruined buildings on these like ruins of like, rubble and stuff, and like dirt and greenery. So I'm trying to figure out what would accent that good. You don't want to make it green, obviously. And I'm thinking, do I go with like a rusted out? Because my dad described it, and it literally does. It looks like physical graffiti. If you've ever seen the cover of Physical Graffiti by Led Zeppelin, without the brickwork, that's what it is, right? And just imagine concrete instead of brickwork. It's just the physical graffiti buildings. That was a great way of describing it on my dad's part. So I got to figure out how I'm going to paint them. Like, do I go with that kind of like, it's not bricks, but I could make it kind of like a rusted out concrete type color and then hit it with some sort of like algae or something. I don't know. I got to figure it out. They look pretty good just the way they are, but, and I made it so, I made it so you can flip them because with the new terrain that we need for the new mission pack and Warhammer, you have to be able to like flip these terrain pieces. So I made them like modular and stuff. So that's pretty cool. I'll post a photo in the Discord when they're all painted up later. I should have been streaming. I was sitting there for hours, hours like making these terrain last week. But it'll be worth it. It's the sort of stuff that's very durable. It'll last for years. So I'm trying to do it right. I'm trying to make it look good. Personally, I'm a fan of like having cool looking stuff on the table when we play Warhammer. Because you could just play with like pieces of cardboard, but that's no fun. I want to be like, move my guys up behind the ruined building and then like fly over it with my Blood Angel jetpacks and go smash up a tank with power fists. Yeah, it's so much fun. It's so nerdy, so geeky, but it's great. I love it. At this age, I could care less anymore. Like, yep, D&D, Warhammer. Let's see, fly tying, fly fishing. Watch Twitch and YouTube. It's like, yep, sounds about right. Let's get one more pink and white one here. Clear out my sinuses real quick. Got a fresh polar spring here. Woo, excuse me. Something went down the pipe wrong or something. That last swig of White Claw. Don't judge me. Those Guinnesses have been not helping the beer belly department. So I guess if you don't eat anything when you drink Guinness, you're like, just don't eat anything for the day. Just drink Guinness. And then that's like your meal for the day. But when you eat and you drink Guinness, yeah, it's the calories start coming on pretty good. So I had to put the Guinness down for a little bit. Slim down a little bit. You know, I got to get my summer bod going for my non-existent beach days. No, it's good. The working out on the boat is good, you know. Working on the boat, you pretty much getting a workout, so. I don't do a ton of bull raking, but AC Fishing doesn't let me do it. He's like, I don't want you to catch 10 clams. You know, here you go. It'll take 5 hours for us to get home if you're clamming. He doesn't say that, but I know in his mind he's thinking, I'm like, hey, you want to take a break or something? I'll do it. Damn young buck. Do I fish with a single-handed or a two-handed rod? How's it going, Rockfish Buster? Mostly single-handed. Mostly single-handed. I do have switch rods. I have I think a 10.5 foot Cabela switch rod. I have a custom Sage spay rod and some other stuff, like an 11.5 foot switch. But I always fish single-hand rods. 9 foot, fast action. Either 8 weights, 9 weights, 10 weights, or 11 weights. Usually intermediate lines, sometimes floating. And then the occasional full sink or full sink tip with like an 11 weight for big flies in the ocean. But yeah, I prefer, I grew up saltwater fishing using single-handed rods, you know, just your classic fast action graphite rods or whatever in the 90s. So double hauling. So that's just pretty much how I've always done it. I do like switch rods, but I'm way more efficient with a single-handed rod, so. Hot here? Yeah, I bet. Oh, you moved to a switch rod. Very cool. So how are you finding it? Are you striper fishing, I'm assuming? By your name? Rockfish Buster? Are you fishing down in like Maryland or something? How are you enjoying the switch to a two-hander? Are you using a switch rod? Or are you using a spay rod? What are you using, like a Rio Outbound or something? Yeah, I have a friend, he got into fly fishing from conventional fishing. He only wants to use two-hand rods. Tried teaching him, like everybody else, single-handed rod. That's most of the time what people gravitate towards. But he said nope. And he's like, I like two-handed rods. Hey, Kari, how's it going? We're tying these for either striped bass, bluefish, false albacore, bonito, Spanish mackerel. Those are like the 5 main species that in the fall time people here in the U.S., in the Northeast, fish for in saltwater. So like New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Maine. In the fall time, you get a giant migration where all the fish up in the north move their way back down to the south with the colder water temps. So you get millions of fish migrating, bait fish, predatory fish, whales, birds, seals, everything. And you get massive blitzes where there's like thousands of striped bass eating 1,000,000 pounds of anchovies on the beach, and the fish are all washing up. It's crazy. So we tie these small bait fish imitations called surf candies. So the particular person who ordered these are going to somebody in Rhode Island who buys my flies. He's catching false albacore, which is a small tuna-like fish. It looks just like a tuna, which you're actually going to see if you stick around. You're going to see in our highlight here, because I'm going to take a break in a sec, grab another drink. It looks just like a tuna, but it's more related to a mackerel, I believe. But it's pretty much just a small tuna that just screams. It's like a rocket ship, like your reel just goes flying. Staten Island, very cool. How's things been out that way? I see every once in a while there's the dude Fish Your Way is his name on YouTube. He's been around forever, and I know he's out west. You see him like fishing in Staten Island and places like Coney Island, all sorts of places. I never fished out that way. I've never even fished Jamaica Bay, but how is it? How's your fishing been this year? Stripers, Chesapeake Bay, and landlocked. Oh, what? Oh, landlocked stripers. Gotcha. 30 pounds now? Nice. 7/8 and an 8/9? Yeah. Okay, okay. Very cool. Yeah, because you got to realize when you go to two-handed rods, 7/8 is pretty much an 8/9 or a 9/10. You know what I mean? Right? It's been up and down. Bluefish, stripers, fluke, no porgies. Yep. His name is Jerry. Okay. Good old Jerry. Been terrible, working like a dog. I hear you. Yeah. Yeah, how was your striper fishing this spring and this year? Every fish was in the ocean. I caught fish in the bay up until about May. And then I was like, all the fish disappeared, and they were just all we had is just millions of pounds of bunker right off the beaches on the South Shore. The fish, I don't even think were coming into the bay. I think they were just sitting out in the ocean. It's crazy how many big striped bass were caught under bunker this year. It was nuts. Chesapeake Bay has two invasive species, catfish and snakeheads. They are taking their toll. Yeah. Well, there's that. You got freaking, and hopefully, hopefully you don't work for Omega Corp. As a somebody who's done commercial bunker fishing here in New York and gone to NOAA meetings on Menhaden and stuff like that, a fucking part of my French, but Omega Corp is a very, very large reason that one of the issues we're having with not only Menhaden, but also just the striped bass fishery, particularly because the Chesapeake is a spawning ground, right? So you got the Hudson that's getting destroyed by just people dumping God knows what from all the way from Hudson Valley through New York and stuff. Those waters are destroyed, but somehow the striped bass still spawn there. You got the Chesapeake where it's truly an unbelievable like fishery. And like a spawning ground for striped bass, blue claws, Menhaden, and Omega Corp, and some big Canadian corporations just like scoop up millions of pounds of juvenile peanut bunker, peanuts. What do you call it? And as opposed to like adult bunker and stuff like we fished for. But there's so many different things. You got loss of habitat and rivers for striped, and this is all over the East Coast. This is not just Maryland. You know what I mean? There's so many different things. Then you got overfishing. You have improper catch and release, high mortality rates that the NOAA just put out, which is higher than the recreational harvest and the commercial harvest. I'm telling you, these striped bass, they got a lot of stuff they got to deal with. It's tough. Let's pray for these fish, man, because they got a lot of stuff. And then you got water temperatures globally changing, all this stuff. Pollution just in PCBs, microplastics that get into their bloodstreams. There's a lot. Unfortunately, striped bass have quite a lot of stuff to deal with. My friends caught a lot of stripers on the tapeworm. They would not touch the bunker. Yeah, interesting. By the tape, what's the tapeworm? Is that a like a rubber lure or something, or are they just like, yep, all right, let's go pick up some fresh tapeworms to use as bait? They're going down to like a pig farm. Hey, you got any tapeworms, Bobby? Hey, yo, Bobby, you got any tapeworms? We're going striper fishing tonight. They're out of eels. Yeah, I believe it. I believe you could use a real tapeworm on a hook and catch striped bass. They look like a lot of worms that we dig up while clamming. There's some crazy worms in the mud. You'd be surprised what you're walking on barefooted while you're walking on the flats. There's a worm that's literally like about 5, 6, 7 foot long. It's flat like a tapeworm, but when I say flat, it's still like that thick, but it's like that wide, and it's like a ribbon worm or something. And we get them while razor clamming. You throw that sucker up, man. You see the seagulls? They're it's the craziest thing. I throw them worms every once in a while. Otherwise, they try and what they do is they get into the boat and they eat the razor clams. They'll go through like a whole tote. So I keep them preoccupied with worms every once in a while. Have like an army of seagulls following us in February, standing in the bay, chucking worms at them. So VS, I'm either using flat wax nylon, which is what I use most of the time. That's not what I'm using now. We're using a mono thread, a clear thread at the moment. But I usually use Danville's 210 denier flat wax nylon in either black or white. Or as Mike Ross would call it, titanium white. But right now we're using Danville's mono fine thread. Just mono thread, fine. That's all it is. It's clear. So, I like as well, but I prefer tying with the Danville's flat wax nylon. I just love the flat wax nylon thread. So good. All right, we got our pink and white surf candies done. We got 6 of those, and now we have 6 chartreuse over pink, also known as Tutti Frutti, kind of like a strawberry lime candy coloration. So, we're just gonna take a quick little break. But before, let me read some of these comments here. Excuse me. Tapeworm is what they dig up. They call it tapeworm. It's white, disgusting, and you're not supposed to dig them up, but my friends do. Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. It's these big worms. Yeah, they look like tapeworms almost. Yeah. We get them. What we do is we're out here. We have a rack. It's literally pieces of wood in the shape of like a rack or like an A-frame. You put an outboard motor on it, under 10 horsepower. You run the motor at throttle, or at either at idle, or whatever. And what you do is you slowly move, and it pushes it cuts a trench. And what happens is all the soft shell clams get pushed out of the mud and then just lay in the trench. And that's what we do for steamers and razor clams. That's what we do out here on the East End. It's not many places in the world get to do it. But because like the King of England allowed it in the 1500s, we're still allowed to do it in 5 towns out here. So most places in the U.S. aren't allowed to do it. A lot of places think that it's really harmful to the bottom, but honestly, as somebody who's fished my whole life out here, our bay is the healthiest bay compared to any bay in Long Island, and we're one of the only bays that allows it. So you just stay out of the eelgrass, and it's pretty much like, it's almost like keeping a farm, like a farmland, healthy by like churning it over. You know what I mean? The clamming's amazing out here, the crabbing, the fishing. So we're lucky we get to do it, but it's really amazing. You'll see just like when you get it right, the clams are just stacked in this trench that's like 2 foot tall. And what you do is you get these massive, massive worms. It's like prehistoric Jurassic Park worms. You're like, then there's like really skinny ones, and there's really fat ones that are like literally like that fat. Like these worms that are probably like 4 or 5 foot long, perfectly round, huge. They probably weigh like a pound. I'm like, what? I've never seen this in my life. but we're also like, you'll never see them most of the time too, because they usually go down by the time you're trying to dig for clams and stuff. But very interesting. Mantis shrimp or ghost shrimp. I forgot I don't know if they're mantis shrimp or ghost shrimp or what, if that's what's the correct name is, but they're like completely clear mini lobster looking mantis shrimps or something, with the orange eggs, and this and that. Very crazy looking stuff down there that you would never even really think about. So it'd be interesting to tie some flies to imitate stuff like that, and then just follow some of the guys that are razor clamming in the spring. Like follow my old boss. They're like, hey, where are you going? I'm just like following him around, like throwing my fly in the wash, because the motor's kicking all this stuff up. All the worms go flying, as well as clams. I for a fact know that striped bass are eating steamers when we do it. Soft shell clams. Guarantee you they're eating them. Probably like candy, because you always miss them. But very interesting. We've thought about that for a bit. Maybe we should try some worm flies soon and go fish some muddy bottom areas in the summer or something. All right, we're going to take a quick little break. Kari was asking what these flies are for. We're going to show you. It's for fall albacore fishing, one of my favorite things. So we'll be back in a moment. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to go grab a drink and try and sneak a bite of gyro real quick. So appreciate everyone tuning in, by the way. Be back in not one moment. Uno momento. Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. Stay tight, all right? Yeah, keep it tight. Yeah, dude. Yeah, Aiden. Knuckle buster. Are you good? Do you need me to do anything?
Yeah, I might need a ride. Yes.
Okay. Hold on, I'm gonna turn now.
I'm gonna try and get on the bow.
Yeah, get on the bow. All right, you're doing good. Keep doing your thing. I'm gonna move us away.
Is that a little one?
No, that's a nice one.
Let's go!
Come here, hold next to your alley. Good job.
That's sick.
All right. Nice.
Let's go! Albie slap!
Good job, dude.
Yee!
Looking down the barrel of a 12 gauge little toonie, bro. And the albacore too. my god, dude! What the fuck? Woohoo! Oh my god. Yep. Oh my god! I gotta turn the boat so I can cast. Oh my god, dude! Alright, get back to catching him, Diego.
You can't go on now. There's a shark.
Frigates!
Albie?
Frigates.
Frigate.
Whoa! Whoa! There's gotta be bluefin or something. Look at. Hell yeah, dude. You grab a fish like that. I mean, to grab a fly like that, a big deceiver. Albie's in the rain on the half beaks, baby. Greenbacks. And until next time, guys, we'll see you. And as always, slam it, cores. All right, we're back. That's what these flies are tied for. False albacore. Unfortunately, I didn't get to attack the gyro. It was too well wrapped in what do you call it? Foil. So they foiled my plans. Oh, wrong button. Excuse me. Forgot to mute that one. Stripers hanging around. Tongers too. It was a blitz. Mm-hmm. What do you mean by tongers? Tonners. They hang around tonners. Trawlers? Okay. Tutti Frutti. Chartreuse over pink is what we're tying right now. Tawning for clams. Ah, gotcha. Is that what you call it down there? Interesting. Tawning. I'm going to have to ask my boss about that. My old boss, ask him. Because I've never heard that lingo before. We always scratch for clams. Scratch raking is the name that most people do out here. They have like little rakes that you just rake and you feel them and you pick them up. And then there's bigger scratch rakes like for commercial clamming that I use. That are you wear like a something around your waist, almost like a harness, and it's got pretty much like a big clam rake with a head on it. But I know they have different clam rakes and they have different styles all up the East Coast. So what's tawning for clams? What does that entail? Do you have like tongs that you go and like pick them up with tongs or something? Because the other thing we used to do in high school, we would just go with socks, dirty socks, so you don't cut your feet. Oh, lawn handled rake, yeah. So we call it a scratch rake up here. That's interesting. A ton. Tonnin for clams. Yeah, we call that a scratch rake. So it's so fun. It's interesting. And then just another example is the how you call striped bass rockfish down that way, down near the Chesapeake. So it's just interesting, the different lingo. I've never heard that, though. That's pretty cool. I'm going to add that to my repertoire. Taunting for clams. Well, maybe you learned something about... Maybe... Have you ever heard someone... You probably heard scratch raking, right? Maybe you know some New York lingo now. Scratching for clams. Scratch raking. Go scratch up a couple clams. Taunting. That is so interesting. Probably just some old timers. Yeah, we're going to go taunt up some clams. It probably doesn't even have a southern accent, but I just added one because it sounds better for some like old timer. Yeah, I'm going to taunt up some clams. Isn't that a rake? Yep, we're taunting them. All right, I guess we're calling it taunting from now on. Like some guy shows up with like a pair of tawns. What the hell? You got to be more descriptive. I brought my kitchen tongs. It was very ineffective. I got 12 clams, 3 hours. That's funny. I'm gonna add that to my clamming repertoire. Now, what do you call hard clams? Do you call them hard clams? You know what they call them up in Massachusetts? They call them quahogs. We call them neck. Top neck for the big ones. Like you'd get with like a baked clam. And then chowders are the really large ones, like jumbos. Like you kill somebody with a chowder clam. But the small ones, little neck, we just call them neck or little neck around here. I know up north they call them quahogs. Quahogs and chowders. What do you call hard clams down that way? You just call them clams? Same? Interesting. I was hoping you had something cool for that. I remember it blew my mind. I was like, whoa, they call striped bass rockfish? Back when I was like a kid. I mean, it makes perfect sense. They love hanging around rocks. It's like the main way you fish up here back in the day was jetty fishing. Man, some of this bucktail, I forgot. This is the Primo chartreuse. Not really soft, but it's got some really long hair. It's quality bucktail. Yeah, chartreuse over pink. It's always funny too. My buddy Jeff's like, isn't it supposed to be pink over chartreuse? Because pink's darker? I'm like, maybe? Is it? I have no idea. I think Tutti Frutti is supposed to be chartreuse over pink. But I might be wrong. I don't know. I've always tied this color pattern with chartreuse over pink. And it kind of makes sense. Like the chartreuse is lighter. But this is how I tie it. And people love this fly. This color combination and everything, whether it's synthetic or bucktail, they love ordering Tutti Frutti. So, does anyone? Because this is a classic like fishing color in the Northeast, particularly with like soft plastics, things like that. So, does anyone? What's your idea of the color combination for lures when it comes to Tutti Frutti? Is it pink over chartreuse, or is it chartreuse over pink? For any of you that know that phrase in the fishing world. That color combo. How do you know it as? How does it go? Pink over chartreuse or chartreuse over pink? Because I've always done it like this. But I've had people say, oh no, isn't it supposed to be the other way? I'm like, I don't know, but it's like this now. If not, it's Fruity Tooty or something. I don't know. We'll spin it around. A skipjack boat with sail drags for oysters. Yeah, we dredge for oysters here, which is pretty much the same thing, dragging. And it's a big, heavy dredge with teeth. It's almost like a giant clam rake. and you just tow it behind the boat and use the motor like, and it's like just scraping oysters off the top, and then you got to go through and break them up or break all the crap off them because they grow in like clusters of oysters. Yeah, oysters are pretty cool. I've never done a lot of serious commercial stuff, but I have gone swimming for oysters. I haven't gone dredging. That's in the wintertime, but I've swam for oysters before, and it was a lot of fun. You literally just take a wetsuit and you swim for them. I don't eat oysters, though. I'm not an oyster man myself, personally, but not many left. Yeah, we used to have a lot more. We still do have some, believe it or not, if you look, but we didn't even take them because we'd rather have the oysters there purifying the water for the other clam species that we were targeting. So we were like, just leave the oysters. They're like filtering. Without those 400 oysters in this area, I wonder if the other clams wouldn't even survive because the water gets so nasty with algae and stuff. So our bay is really healthy because the amount of shellfish we have and the proximity of the inlets to flush out the bay every day. Because some of the other bays in Long Island, in New York here, are just like full of algae and full of fertilizer from people's green grass and outdated septic systems. So you get algae blooms, which aren't bad. Algae blooms aren't bad. Believe it or not, some of the best clamming you'll ever have is near, which you can't do it, but some of the most clams you'll ever find are by sewage treatment plants because a steady stream of nitrogen is good. It creates green algae, which is not harmful, but it's when you get an influx of algae, it rains, all the Scott's lawn care dumps into the bay. And then what happens is you get a massive bloom of nitrogen. You get a massive bloom of algae because all the nitrogen hits the water. And then the green algae dies. There's also red algae. The red algae blooms at the same time. It's got a hardened carapace. It's got like a shell around it. So it's more resistant to like turbid waters and stuff. So what happens is the green algae dies because it runs out of food. All that green algae dies, falls to the bottom, becomes anaerobic and starts rotting. And then you get the red algae that goes nuts. And the red algae clouds out the water and oxygen isn't able to, you pretty much run out of oxygen, sucks all the oxygen out of the water. And then you get fish kills. So we're very lucky. Our bay very rarely has that. Other bays here on Long Island, you can't clam, you can't shellfish, you can't go get oysters, nothing because the water's so terrible, the quality. And it's just due to septic systems and literally nitrogen from lawnscaping is what it is. It's pretty terrible, but they got rid of all the estuaries, all the grass. So what that does is all these areas are where the mussels live. And if you have miles and miles of mussel beds, it's literally just a giant filtration system that filters all the impurities out of the bay. It's pretty important. So it's pretty crazy. We're very lucky that our bay is healthy as it is. Hopefully it's like this in 20, 30 years from now. You know what I mean? They're pretty on top of it, but unfortunately, everywhere I go, it's just big old green lawns, landscapers showing up, spraying goddamn fertilizer right on the surface. And then the pest people show up, they're spraying pesticides all over the place. It rains the next day and it just goes straight into the sewers, and all the sewers run straight into the bay to flush the rainwater. So we'll see. Hopefully things work out, but I don't know. I'm a little skeptical for the future when it comes to the marine life out here on Long Island, but we'll see what happens. They have been doing stuff for like Menhaden and stuff, so at least the ocean life, like there's dolphins, whales, pretty good amount of bass and stuff, but striped bass are a whole nother thing. They're a whole nother worry of mine for the future of them, but yeah, Vibrio. Yeah, we have Vibrio out here. It's pretty bad. That's why what they do is they test water quality almost daily in some areas, weekly in some areas, if not every other week. They test, so you're not allowed to clam or shellfish around creeks, around marinas, or around places like big coves and bays far back in the bay, away from the what do you call it? Away from the inlet. So, oh yeah, flesh eating. Listen, all I do is sort clams all day and get cuts on my hands. I haven't gotten Vibrio yet, but you know, you never know. I think somebody died recently from it, like a clammer or something. But so you gotta be careful. It was in Connecticut, I think, but yeah, Vibrio thrives in turbid, nasty water. So luckily, we're only clamming in certified areas where the water's tested like weekly. So it's a pretty big deal. They spend a good amount of money and time into supporting the. I mean, but it's a big industry. It's probably like a multi-million or billion-dollar industry. I would imagine the shellfishing industry. I would imagine in New York it's multi-million-dollar industry. There's a lot of people that clam out here. All right. We might switch to gluing these up soon. That gyro's talking to me. It's whispering. The whispers are getting louder, like Frodo with the ring, the temptation of the gyro. We'll tie a couple more of these, and then we'll start gluing them up. Yep. Just simple flesh-eating bacteria found in shellfish that, you know, touch all the time. Nothing to worry about. Oh, what's that? A horseshoe crab that was buried in the mud for 100 years just cut me and went down to my bone? Yeah, it's probably fine. I'm sure it doesn't have Vibrio. Literally talking about earlier today. That's a horseshoe crab spine. Tiny little hole. They're probably one of the sharpest things that you'll ever encounter. Razor clams, pretty damn sharp. Steamer clams, pretty sharp. Horseshoe spines are like literally, you would think they were evolved to stop things from grabbing them. Who would have thought? I had one go straight to the bone the other day. It was like a 7-8 pound horseshoe crab, like big one, you know what I mean? Get it out of the clam rake, it falls straight onto my finger, and the spine went so deep. Yeah, it'll be fine. I think by now, I'm like, you know, I shouldn't even joke about it, but I'm like Vibrio resistant, probably with the amount of fish, shellfish, and exposures to cuts I've had over the past certain amount of years. Between steamers, razors, hard clams, oysters. Got it all. That being said, you got to run some hydrogen peroxide on it. I'll do it later, but if they're bad, I'll do it. You know what I mean? But usually you just rinse it out in salt water and knock on wood. Because like you could wear gloves, like thick nitrile gloves, or you know what I'm talking about, for like working on a boat while sorting through them, or those like mechanic type gloves. But I've just never been a fan of it. It's a pain. I'm a mechanic. I'm used to my hands getting cut up. Comes with the territory. I wonder what's worse. Because like you could see my fingernails. You could see how they're chipping away. That's from the clam shells cutting my fingernails and stuff. Cuts all over my hands and stuff. I think my hands were worse though when I was a mechanic. I used to destroy my hands. There's nothing worse than like slipping off of a bolt or a nut with a wrench and just smashing your hand into a firewall, like your knuckles. That was like the worst. Like impact wrenches, they just grab and it's like, poof, smashes your knuckles into like a control arm. I'm so lucky I never like seriously hurt myself doing that. Because even like an experienced tech, it's a rough, you know what I mean? You're just slamming sledgehammers, and that's why you're wearing boots and glasses and all this stuff, but your hands get tore up. All right. Yeah, let's tie one more of these and then we'll start gluing them up. because I got a date with a gyro. I got a hot date with a gyro. So today's Wednesday. Friday we're going to be streaming. We're probably going to be Fridays no matter what. We're not going to be doing commercial stuff unless it's like peak season and I have to, but I think I have enough time nowadays so we don't have to get work done. So we're going to be, Fridays are like no matter what, we're tying fun stuff. So who knows? Like the other day we tied a bunch of crazy crabs, and that was a lot of fun tying all those green crab flies, floating crabs, whatnot. So I don't know what we're going to do next, but maybe we'll go for some like really crazy worms. Not cinder worms, like foot long crazy razor clam style worms kicked up from the razor clam rack. I'm serious. I think if I go out in April to certain spots, I'm almost 100% certain I can catch fish. Because they finish razor clamming in April at some point, and the bass are already there. Pardon me. I gotta get a pair of Fisker scissors. I've been using these like scissors I got from Eckerd's. They're great, but for that fine, nipping that tiny little bit of bucktail at the end, it just doesn't work. So I was using my snippers for Warhammer stuff right there. Did the job, but I cut my thread, so that's okay. Yeah, so Friday, who knows, maybe some cool worms, maybe some more crabs. Somebody did ask about a blue water bulkhead. So we could dye a giant bulkhead for like sharks and tuna or something. That could be interesting. To be honest with you, when it comes to blue water, I think tubes are the way to go. Like, even just shark fishing, I would never shark fish without a tube fly. Unless I was fishing for, like, smaller sharks, But if you're fishing for, like, a serious shark species, you go tube flies all the way. So convenient. And the thing just goes right up the leader after you hook one. Perfect. You just got a clean hook. You can just grab that with the de-hooker, the lawn pole, so you don't put your hands anywhere near a 200-pound shark that's green next to the boat, and you just pop it off. So nice. That'll be fun to go do some shark fishing again. I'm probably not going to do a lot of it, because honestly, I kind of got bored with it at the end. It's fun to do, but like just sitting there for hours and chumming. Chum, buckets of chum. $50 in chum here, $50 in chum there. The smell of chum all day. I can't do it anymore, so we'll just keep a shark fly rod with us and like have it set up in case we see sharks just going nuts on a bunker pod or something, Maybe once in a while we'll try some shark fishing. I did buy a bait fishing rod, conventional, like heavy duty shark rod. But that was before my back was like seriously getting hurt regularly, so which hasn't been much of a problem recently, but verbal tattoo or tatao. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. So I don't think like if I hooked a 200-pound thresher shark, I don't think I could do it myself. I'd probably end up throwing my back out halfway through. So I got to be careful with that. I was like, yeah, man, hell yeah. Just like, let's go shark fishing. I want to catch a 300-pound mako. Now I'm like, oh my God, dude, I couldn't imagine being out there by myself fighting like a 300-pound mako. You really should fish with somebody else when you're shark fishing. I went out there a couple times alone, and I was like, if something starts going wrong, this is really going to be a bad situation, being hooked up to like a 200-pound shark, 150-pound shark. There's times where you got to put it in gear, What if you hook a 400-pound thresher and this thing just jumps into the boat and hits you with the tail? Like, it's not even that unrealistic. You know what I mean? That's why you put the boat in gear when you hook a mako, because they literally just go airborne. You don't want a 500-pound mako landing on top of you in the boat. Because it's happened. People, especially when people bring a thresher to the side on smaller boats, their tail can just, it's literally like 10 foot long or something. It's crazy. You should see a thresher shark's tail in person. It's wild. But they can just whip that tail and it people get their arms broken, people get knocked unconscious. Imagine you're out there alone, you hook a giant thresher shark, you get it in, you're like, ah, thing whips, hits you with the tail, like breaks your arm, hits you in the head, you fall back, you're unconscious, drifting in the ocean right around sunset. The shark takes your reel and rod, probably just snaps it right there. And what do you call it? Then you just, I don't know, just drift out to sea, wake up. Hopefully the boat hasn't flipped over. I think you'd probably just drift. You'd probably be okay. Unless it's because you wouldn't be out there in terrible weather alone. I would only go out on a good day. So I'd probably just be like 30 miles, 40, 50 miles instead of 10. I would just slowly drift offshore. Wake up like a brain injury. Where's my shark rod? Where am I? Oh, they roll you up? Really? Because, like, the other shark species we caught, mostly brown sharks and stuff. We haven't caught a mako. But every other shark species we got, most of the times next to the boat, they just either break you off or they just go nuts. They just, boom, tail slapping the boat and whatnot. You're like, whoa, whoa. So we made, like, a homemade de-hooking stick out of an old rod. And, like, I took steel welding wire and made, like, a thick loop and bent it so we could just slide it down the leader and pop the hook out as quick as we can. But I've never dealt with a thresher. So you're saying they roll and like almost like an alligator and they twist on the line? All I know is talking to the guys that did a lot of shark fishing, they were like, you gotta be careful when you get a thresher shark next to the boat, man. And like just even a 200-pound brown shark next to the boat. The sound of that thing, its tail hitting my boat was so loud. It was absolutely wild. My buddy's trying to hold. I'm like, do not wrap your hands on that line. Like, do not wrap that line around your hands. We were like freaking out. I'm like, dude, wear the gloves. Just hold it. Let go if something goes wrong. Because we had never done it before, you know. I'm like, just do not wrap the line around your hands. I repeat. I do not want you to lose fingers right now. Because like when a shark that big, you know, and you got like 100-pound line or something, it'll probably just cut your fingers off. We were like, okay, this is good. This is good. We're like getting it close to the boat. We got our hands on the leader, and it was like just all hell broke loose. It was like, boom, thrashing like crazy. We're trying to hold on. I'm like, whoa, whoa. We thought we were all prepared. We're like, all right. This is a little bit bigger than a 20-pound bluefish. And I have shark tags. I got 3 shark tags. I signed up for like the introductory program to tagging sharks for the NOAA. And I was like, all right, here we go. And after landing a couple sharks, I was like, dude, I don't know how are we supposed to get a measurement, get a sex, measure them, do all this stuff, and then get a tag in them. Like, how are you supposed to flip the shark? You see him like flip it upside down and stuff like that. I don't know if they fight them for like 30 minutes or something. I don't know if they're too green by the time we get them to the boat. But, I could never attempt to handle a fish like that and then try and like measure it and stuff like that. Like we had really big pliers. We were thinking we could use really big pliers. My buddy went down there to try and do it. This shark like almost instantly moved its head to the side and almost got, I'm like, no. We're never using pliers. Do not. It was like, you know, like a 14-inch long pliers, the needle nose. I'm like, no. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. So I had to create like a de-hooker because you can buy one for like a couple $100 for offshore fishing. I was like, screw that. I'm making one out of an old fishing rod. It actually works. It's pretty good. But I remember my buddy was trying to take the hook out with the pliers. It ended up just breaking the line. So, and we're using the type of hooks that you're supposed to, which are the circle hooks that rust out or whatever. So it's unfortunate. I like getting the hooks out, but I gotta say, I like fly fishing for sharks way better because we debarb the hooks. So you can actually, like, get the hook out. With a circle hook, you almost have to cut it and then get it out sometimes because the way they're, like, crazy circle hooks. But I guess they're also, you're supposed to use, like, a rustable shark hook, not a stainless steel hook. But with the fly hooks, we debarb them. The second you get them next to the boat, you put that thing on there and it just pops off instantly because it's, you know, the only reason it's really you're taut is because you're keeping the line tight. You know what I mean? Sharks' mouths are really, really tough. Makos charged the boat. Oh man. Now we had one Mako swim around the boat. Wasn't interested in the flies. It was probably only about 8 or 9 feet, so we were just kind of messing around with it. But it's wild when you're because we were only chumming about 8, 9 miles offshore, sometimes just 5, 6 out in the ocean here, and the farthest was like 14. But I mean, some days it would be like nothing for 4 or 5 hours, chumming the whole time, throwing up bunker chunks, fishing for mackerel, throwing live mackerel with balloons and stuff. You get like one or two things, and then out of nowhere, it'd be like 4 or 5 sharks would show up in like a close proximity, different species and stuff. Like maybe the chum slick finally reached far enough or something. And then some days it would be like we would have tons of action. We'd have like 13, 14 shots. I mean, we're not like we really got to go like 30, 40 miles offshore for like blue sharks, makos, threshers. But my boat's not really set up for that. So, but some days, man, we would have like 20, 30 shots with a fly rod at different shark species. I wouldn't even know what they are half the time because they wouldn't come close enough, but they'd be out messing with the bait and we'd be reeling the bait in and throwing the fly and you'd be like, "What's going on?" The shark would come up and like teed the fly. You try and set the hook, just pull it out of its mouth every time. And it took like 10 times. I finally figured out we have to let the shark turn. And when the shark turns, you pull on it, you hook them right in the corner of the mouth with the fly every time. We did it so many times. My buddy was doing, he kept pulling it out of its mouth. And I'm like, dude, how about this? Just wait. Let it grab the fly. Let it turn. And they would grab it, spit it out, grab it, spit it out, grab it, spit it out, grab it. And they would do that like 30 times. And then finally they would grab it and turn and swim away. And then you could hook them. It was wild. I definitely want to go try and find some like blue sharks or something because it was way like the inshore shark species are not, even like a little what do you call it? Like spinner shark or something. I want to go for like a pelagic shark species, but I know blue sharks aren't like they're considered like a trash shark out here, but I would love to get a blue shark on the fly. I gotta say though, like 14 miles offshore in my 21-foot Steiger is good enough for me. I could easily do 30, 40 miles, but yeah. Once you get to like 12, 13, 14 miles and you get that little bit of waves going on, you can't see the beach anymore. I'm like, I think I'm good. Like, I only have a 12-gallon external tank. I don't think we should be going out to the canyon or something. If I had my new internal tank with like 60 gallons, that'd be different. But I'd also have to live on my boat because 60 gallons of gas is a lot of money nowadays. So it was kind of nice. 12-gallon external, 4-stroke 130 Honda, and I could go shark fishing all day on like 12 gallons. Around 15 gallons, we'd bring in like a 5-gallon extra. We'd still have some gas left over, so not bad. We'd go about 10, 11, 12 miles offshore, and we'd run about 20 miles or like 12 miles east or west from the bay inlet. Because we found a specific spot that just had way more fucking sharks. Pardon my French, but we tried going one way directionally, like east or west. I'm not going to say, just in case anyone knows, but we tried going one way. We couldn't figure them in another way. And then we just started, so I put pins every time we ran into a serious, like, shark encounter in the chum slick. I was like, all right, I'm going to mark this. Boop, mark, mark. And we found, like, we created, like, a string for, like, a nice drift of where we ran into all the sharks. So it's pretty cool. Was a lot of fun. I will do it again one day, but hit that with some resin. I'm going to hit it with another coat here. I like to do at least 2 coats of medium on surf candies. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. That's why I got to get my man. It felt so good to wash my boat. It was sitting for a bit. So it definitely motivated me. I just got to go out there once a week and wash it. I'll get that thing fixed in no time. It's going up there. I'm like, dude, I miss it. I can't wait. Every day I'm out on a boat clamming, but I cannot wait to go out in my boat again. I miss it so much. It's such a nice boat. That's why I'm going to be single for a while, because I'm like, I guarantee you, like, I'm like one of those guys that girls like, he's obsessed with his boat. He's a boat guy. Ugh, those are the worst. Yep, I'm gonna go wash the boat. I'll be back in a couple hours. So nice. Can't wait to take it out again. I guess the next, like, future, things is just down the road, try and get, like, a brand new motor. Brand spanking new motor. It's going to be like 20, 30 grand or something. But once I get a brand new motor, that boat is good for like 50 years. The hull isn't mint. That hull's probably, I mean, if I put a brand new motor, I could probably sell that boat for like 30, 40 grand or something. I mean, the hull is like unbelievable. Say you got a motor, say you got a motor for like 20 grand. I could probably sell that boat for like 30 grand, 35K or something. The hull is worth that much in itself. Which is hard. You go look at boats nowadays, man. Half the decks are all rotted out. I'm lucky when they started making my Steiger in 2000, they switched to this like went from straight wood to this like treated synthetic wood or this treated wood or something like that, and more fiberglass or something. They used to use a lot of wood and the decks rot out like crazy on a lot of boats out here, especially boats that people are using like commercially. I mean, it's like a trampoline when you get on that thing. You're like, okay, we ain't buying this thing. You got to cut out the whole deck, redo it. Which to some people's not much. Like my old boss cut out a deck in a weekend and refiberglass it. But to me, that's like a freaking restoring a car. You know what I mean? Not only cut out the deck, but you have to like reframe the whole boat. God, no thank you. That's why you find a good hull, you can always replace the motor. Finding a solid hull on like a serious, like a nice center console in itself is a investment. So I'm never selling this boat, but God forbid if I ever had to. Get a hell of a lot more than what I bought it for. Such a good boat. Yeah, Steiger Craft, man. Hard to beat him. Made on Long Island, baby. It's one of the reasons why I love it. Long Island boat for the Long Island man. Hell yeah, brother. That's right. 631. God. I'm cringing just saying it, but redid mine. 5 years it took. What size boat you got? I feel like if I would do it, it would take me 5 years. My buddy or his dad, it would take him like a weekend, right? Me, it would take 5 years. I'm with you. What size boat you got? Is it like a cabin, like a larger, like those old lobster boats? You know what I mean? Because that's more understandable. There's a lot more shit. But I'm with you. I feel like if I did it, it would take me 6 years. Ah, no wood? Ah, the Kosovo or something. What do you got? You got a center console? You got a, what's the proper term for that? Like a, with a pilot house? I guess it's a pilot house, but, like those Parkers, you'll have like a 24 or 25 Parker with like a pilot house, for like tuna or like, you see those lobster fishermen using boats like that. What's the name of those things? I guess it's a pilot house boat, but I feel like there's a term for that. I'm a center console man myself as a fly fisher. I do not want anything I don't want to snag anything, and then we still snag with the center console when it's blowing 30 miles an hour and we're albie fishing, but that's okay. I will never have a poling platform, I'll tell you that. Whenever I fish on my buddy Jeff's boat, I have to fish in the back because he's like a righty, I'm a lefty in the wind. That damn poling platform, bro. Every time. It's one thing if you're fishing on the flats with it, but like if you're fishing for albies out in Montauk and you're leaning on the, poling platform, trying not to fall in the water by the lighthouse. And this thing's rocking like crazy, and you're trying to cast, the wind blows and wraps up on the poling platform. I'm like, God damn it. I hate this thing, Jeff. It's like all wrapped up. The albies are blowing up. Classic. Yeah, so I usually do 1 or 2 coats, and if there's any little stragglers you can see, there's like little bucktail that kind of scrunched up and didn't lay down perfectly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull them out or trim them so there's not any like loops to catch the resin, because that can be annoying sometimes. So I can either pull it or I can cut it and get it out of there. Let this cool down for a sec. So the one thing you gotta watch, especially with the white bellies on the bucktail, is if you hit it with the light for too long, or you're using the wrong resin, hit it with the light too long. What's the name of that company? I was shitting on them earlier. Oh yeah, Loon. I was trying to cough and do it. It took way too long. Like the Loon resin that I used to use, they will yellow. So even Solar Res will do it, but you really have to heat it up. So if you hit it with 1 coat and then another coat right away, and you hit it with the light for a while, you'll feel this thing's pretty hot. So let it cool down a little bit. It was just the Loon was just, no matter what I did, it was, I was hitting it with the same amount of light I do now. And they were yellowing on me, so that's right. I'm pretty happy, man. I've been using Solarise or Solares for years. I've never had anyone be like, oh man, those surf candies cracked, or whatever. This resin doesn't look good, or this, that. I've never had anyone complain about the resin once, or really about anything, but like I feel like if, there was a pretty big issue, let's say with durability, this or that, obviously they are going to break or crack. You smack them on the boat, you catch 30 fish over time, they're going to get tore up. But, like let's say you fish a couple times and they start breaking apart, or whatever it is. So I'm really happy with Solarise, Solares. If they were like, hey, you want to be part of like a team? You don't get anything, but we can put your name on. I'd be like, hell yeah, brother. Like Squimpish or something, they're a company that I definitely stand behind. I don't get money or nothing. Same thing with Regal. Regal did give me this vise, the owner, but I've definitely, definitely love their stuff, whether they gave this to me or not. They converted me. Right Bobbin, a company, they've never done anything for me. They've replaced my bobbin once, but they have no idea who I am. If you said, hey, man, Li Flies Mike really loves your bobbins, I bought a bunch of bobbins because they'd be like, I have no idea who that is. At least more than likely, because I don't think they're striper fishermen. Mostly striper guys and gals that know me on the East Coast in the like realm of fly fishing media, if you will. You know what I mean? Content or whatever, and commercial fly tying. But Right Bobbin, one of the greatest company. You just hit them up. Hey, I have issues. They're like, yeah, send it in. We'll just send you a new one. All right, cool. Most of the time, they don't even ask questions. Such a great company. They really stand behind their product, So, Solarise, hit me up. We'll put a decal on the side of my boat. Buy me a new Yamaha 150. Let's go, baby. Let's get in the works. I'm selling out. Come on, baby. I'm selling out tonight. Oh, man. I'd do that in a second. For like a company that I like. They're like, hey, Mike, we'll buy you a Yamaha. Can we put a little symbol on your... I'll be like, pfft. What else? You want me to take you out to dinner? You want to live in my house? Sure, let's do it. Let's sign the papers. Let me get a 150 and let me get one of those power mounts or whatever, to where you put the motor a little bit behind the boat for a more stable structure. Hey, Cozy, what's up? How you doing? I'm new to fly fishing and I want to get into tying. What's a good vice to start with, and any advice for a noob? That's 2 people today that asked about vices. Um, for a new fly tire, there's a we talked about this earlier, so I'm gonna give you the same spiel that I gave someone earlier. Um, you can either go a little bit more and buy a semi-expensive ice like a basic Regal, a Peak, a Renzetti, whatever, for like 150 bucks. You'll probably use it for the next 30, 40, 50 years, unless you want to upgrade to something fancy like a Regal Revolution or something, right? And then you could buy yourself a bobbin. So let's say like 120, around 150 or 120 for like a really solid setup. That's kind of like a starter entry level, but made in the U.S. or like European made brand. So, I mean, serviceable, you can get parts, you're good to go. Or you can go with a slightly cheaper option. Like they used to be 20, 30, 40 bucks back in like the 90s or 2000s. I don't know what they go for now, like on Cabela's, or I don't know if you're in the U.S. The last person that asked was in Scotland, but if you're in the U.S., you can go on like Cabela's or Bass Pro or any JS Fly Fishing. They'll sell this like little box with a cheap vise. The vise is like 20 bucks, and it comes with like a vise, a bob, and scissors, this and that. Yeah, so you could probably find that at a Bass Pro. I don't know what they used to go for, like 30, 40, 50 bucks. They're probably still something similar. Those things are pretty crap. Like you could use that for 40 years and be content if that's what you want. But if you enjoy fly tying and fishing, and you're like, man, I really love fly tying, you want to get like a rotary vise that spins so you can spin it and work on it. You know what I mean? If you want to tie large flies for largemouth with like 3-aught, 4-odds, and the vise doesn't fit. So you can start with like a $20 vise and a $5 bobbin from Bass Pro probably. And that's a good way to start. You either start that way or you start with like the used 80 to 100 or like brand new 100, $120 American made vise from like Regal, Peak, Griffith or whatever, these companies that you could find on Cabela's or something if you take a look. Another good option, JS Fly Fishing, is an online retailer in the US. But Cabela's ain't bad. I actually did a bunch of fly tying stuff from Cabela's over the years. I don't know what their fly tying selection's like nowadays, but so those are the 2 options. You can get something for like 20, 30 bucks that just clamps to your table. It won't spin. It just opens. You put a little hook in it, you clamp it. And that's how I learned how to tie. Or you can just get a like $80 to $120 vise and like a $20 bobbin. Go down to the hardware store, get a pair of Fisker scissors. No Dr. Slicks or nothing like that unless you're tying trout flies. But I don't think you got a ton of trout fishing in Texas. I'm thinking you're doing largemouth, maybe redfish or something. So those are my options that I would recommend. This goes for anybody in the stream on YouTube. You can go into the description. You can join our Discord on Twitch, !Discord. You can hop in our Discord. You don't got to be a sub or anything like that. You just got to enjoy fly fishing. And you can ask any questions. Like if you find a vise, you're like, hey, is this Peak vise good? You know, for like $100 or something like that. You could post in the Discord, and we have a ton of people in there that are all fly fishing nerds that we can help you with. So anytime, feel free to hop on in there. Excuse me. Largemouth and reds. Haha! I read you like a goddamn book. I read you like a goddamn book, boy. That's just what, if I lived in Texas, what I'd be fishing for. I'd be fishing for largemouth and redfish. Those are like the 2 things I'd be like, yep, Texas. All right, let's go down the pond, throw mice flies, and then let's hit up the Spartina grass and throw some, or the oyster creeks, or, you know, the oyster beds. Carp, yep. Yeah, you got good carp fishing. I forgot about that. Like urban carp fishing in Dallas, I've seen shit. Forgot about that Atlas vise, the one that was around 150. Like the Peak is now 300. Oh man, I remember when there were like cheap ones and stuff. Interesting. Yeah, no, I think a lot more people are getting into it, so that's cool. But thank you for subbing on YouTube, by the way, too. We also stream on Twitch, YouTube. But we're glad to have you here. So we're probably gonna wrap up the stream here. We stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Unfortunately, I missed on Monday. Not only do I commercially fly tie, but I also commercially clam every day. So I pretty much work Monday through Saturday in the morning. So some days I end up missing it. But Monday, Wednesday, Friday in the afternoon at some time, we go live every week and we fly tie. So that's our new schedule, which we used to do back in the day. It was later in the day, but I work so early now that I'm not streaming at like 8 o'clock at night, starting it. But yeah, so Friday we're going to be streaming again. Today's Wednesday, tomorrow's Thursday. Friday we're going to be streaming. We're going to probably tie up some like summertime stuff. We were tying crab flies, worm flies and stuff. Yo, Frosty, what's up, dude? How you doing? I hope everything's been going good, brother. It's good to see you. I'll hop in Discord sometime. We'll chat. I know Aiden was like, we should play Rust. But I think when Space Marine comes out, we're going to have to be playing that. So I don't know if I haven't been doing any gaming, but I'll hop in Discord and chit chat at some point. So when I'm painting one night or something. See, Friday then I found this on a late night bender looking for live fly tying. So super cool. Hey, thank you, Koozie. I'm glad people on Twitch still find us doing some live fly tying. So it's been like 6 years almost now. We've been doing it on Twitch, if not longer. So it's been a while. So I'm always glad to see somebody go, wow, live fly tying on Twitch. Hell yeah, brother. I'm like, let's go. Yep. We're in the dark recesses of Twitch, but in the where there's like a light shining. It's not clear volleyballs that I'm bouncing on while playing Grand Theft Auto. You know what I mean? Green screened onto my ass. You know, where the light shining in the dark recesses of Twitch. I guess it depends. It's actually, you know, I can't kink shame people, so, but yeah, for all the people on YouTube, like you guys are on a much more, even though YouTube's a little crazy. When I click on my Twitch homepage, sometimes I'm like, God damn, bro, I forgot how fucking wild this place is. It's the Wild Wild West. Wiki wild, Will Smith's out here, dude. He's out in like, remember when he was getting chased by that mechanical device trying to cut his head off? I'm out here like Will Smith in the Wild West, bro. I love Twitch. It's good times. But yeah, thank you so much for hanging out. I hope you folks have an awesome day. We're streaming on Friday, all right? So thank you so much for hanging out. I'm going to go eat my gyro. It's been calling my name ever since it got here 2.5 hours ago when I started the stream. But thank you so much. Frosty, thanks for hanging out, brother. Cozy, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Hopefully we'll see you again. Doc, thanks again as always. Yo, Rockfish Buster, appreciate you tuning in on YouTube. VS, everybody. Hopefully we'll see you folks again. So everybody have an awesome night, and we'll see you on Fridays, all right? Take it easy. Be safe out there. Have a great week, all right?